Hey, welcome back to Brentocast. As you might notice, if you're watching this on YouTube or listening on YouTube rather, this is a Brento live on the road, baby. Episode 71, June 14th, 2025. We're just getting into our first vlogs and podcasts using the 16 Pro Max, which features something called spatial audio. Apparently has 4 microphones on it, and there's a way to eliminate background noise. So in a weird sort of way, this is just a test. I'm actually on my way to the studio to work on a commission track called Bandito, written for our friend and client Ron Vigil, and always very excited to get to the big studio, which of course is Snug Records for us. And this is a little bit of a just multitasking, if you will, getting my head right for the studio and also cutting a little test podcast. These have been really slow coming. There's a very good reason for that, which I'm going to tell you about. So as many of you may know, I've been on a bit of a fitness journey since November 28, 2024. I've lost almost 80 pounds, and I've been working with a trainer and doing intermittent fasting. About probably 5 weeks ago, I started making sure that I got at least 2 workouts with the trainer every week, and then the last 2 weeks I've trained every day and had like a secondary training. Well, every day. That's not every day. I'm off work on Sunday and Monday, so I don't train those 2 days. And sometimes Saturdays I don't get to train. Sometimes I do. So for at least 4 days a week, I'm doing really hard workouts, at the training facility, and then a secondary workout, which is just basically low impact cardio, me either hiking or walking a flat trail, either one. But I'm doing that 4 days a week. It's the second consecutive week of 4 days a week. And as such, the cardio comes up. So of course, to keep challenging my body to get stronger and have more endurance, the workouts have to be ever more intensive. And that's been real fun. And I say that in jest. And we've also been doing a lot of outdoor workouts. As a 56-year-old, I'm one of those people that, given how big I was, you would think that my numbers wouldn't be as good as they are. Fortunately, I was blessed genetically with a great heart and vascular system. I guess it's hereditary, because God knows I've ate some of the wrong food for a really long time. I was up at 360 pounds. Now I am with my shoes on. Yesterday I weighed and I was 286 with my shoes on. So to me that's like, I don't know, like 284 actual or something like that. I don't get too wrapped up in the scale. I found it serves me better to only look at the scale occasionally every couple of months, just to, confirm what I already know, that I'm losing weight. Clothes are fitting looser. I'm stronger. My endurance is better. My cardio is better. So all those things have combined to make me less likely to sit down and do a podcast. Also, it turned out to be a good thing, but it definitely meant some real aggravation. Some salesmen came in. My business contact at Verizon Wireless, where we had our business accounts, and there was a good reason to go to Verizon when we did. We had a really great guy, would check in with us, do things to make our account cheaper and a better value. But he's moved on from Verizon now, and some sales dudes came in, some sales contractors came in from Charlotte that would just go town to town. They're very persistent, and to be honest with you, they really annoyed me, but I could not overlook what they were saying. We were paying like $445 a month for 4 phones. I know, right? Unlimited data, but like throttled after a certain point. And basically, we were getting charged more because we have a business account, is what it came down to. And these guys were like, "Oh no, $141.80 or something like that, and we'll give you 4 brand new iPhones." The other guys were still charging me monthly payments on the other iPhones. So I thought, and of course they'll pay it off, right? So I thought, how can I not do this? Well, we started the transfer, and then we found that at Summer's house, she couldn't get a signal. Everybody else, the signal was fine. So then I thought, well, maybe I'll just hold this thing and just stay with Verizon and see if they can just fix the pricing. And I talked to 2 or 3 different people at Verizon. They told me conflicting things about the best price. So that I knew right there they weren't shooting straight with me. And then my guy, Melvin George, was not available. Melvin George Roundtree, cool dude. Hate that he wasn't available any longer. That really made me less likely to, stick with them. Well, when I knew they were overcharging me for years. So we made the transfer go through. I transferred 3 of the phones. The 4th phone was mine. It took me 7 days to get to that. At 7 days, the transfer pin expires. So I had to go through all that again. And then last night, finally got through to the right person after the first person. Oh, you got to send that phone back, et cetera, et cetera. And fortunately, one of the folks knew that wasn't right. And the girl in the transfer department or whatever, report department, didn't get it. He said, well, thank you. And he said, hang on, we'll just call another one. And he did. And that person hit a switch and it worked right away. So that said, the new phone is lighter and pretty impressed with it so far. I haven't got to do much multimedia. This would be the first test of it. Usually I just run the auto share through speaker to have a version of the podcast available on YouTube. But in this case, I'm going to actually probably upload to YouTube, re-download that, use that through the Spreaker interface, to be the podcast, and that's how we'll get her done. Now, as I've said, this is going to be a really, really short one. But because I am actually driving, I'm going to break it into multiple parts. So that's sort of what I have been doing. And we're about to get into what I'm doing in the next week, in the next 2 weeks, because it's going to be pretty epic. What I did. Sorry about that. I'm going to be getting me one of these magnetic mounts for the car so I can just pop it on there and that sort of thing won't happen. If I'd been more careful, it wouldn't happen just then. But anyway, these are the thoughts on June 14th. So what I'm doing now, I'm rolling into Snug Records here by 4 o'clock, and I'm going to be recording a new song that I've written for Ron Vigil, and I'm going to be doing some vocals for songs that we recorded at Harrison's, the shop. When I say the shop studios, I'm referring to Harrison, my musical partner's home recording setup. My home recording setup is called Secret Studios at our store building. And then later down the line, I'm going to be having another one at my house, I believe. But anyway, when we need really high-end vocal chain type stuff where compressors and more expensive microphones are involved, nothing compares to going to Snug Record Studio. And it's an absolute joy. I get excited every time I get to go there. Eddie's such a great friend, but an awesome, amazing engineer who just, there is no delay. You tell him what you want, and he's able to just put it together. And not to mention the fact that he has, like, conservatively, like a couple $100,000 worth of instruments and equipment that you can just use. Me being a old guitar nerd, that is awesome. I mean, awesome is truly the only word that comes to mind to describe the ability to go over and say, I want to sound like Keith Richards, and get the 1973 Telecaster and then get the bass that matches it. Just forget about it, yo. Anyway, amazing to go there. So we're doing 4 songs total today. Banditos, start to finish. We have guide tracks from the work tape of it, and the other ones we're just adding. I think in one case we're adding drums and vocals, and then the rest of the cases we're just adding vocals. So I got a pretty good plan. I've got it laid out pretty well. As always, I try to write more things down and be more prepared in the studio, especially when we're spending somebody's money to go to the big studio. But anyway, that's what's going on. And then the next week, I got to practice on this Sunday, because next Saturday we're doing a live performance with an electric band. Now, y'all have seen me in the past, not to besmirch my friends that played with me in the past, but those were not serious bands. This potentially could be a serious band. We've just gotten together. I don't know that the performance is going to come off all that serious. I'm going to play piano on some of it, which those of you that know me know I don't typically perform on piano, but I do have a a Baldwin L grand piano in my living room right now, and I've been working on this, so I'm going to try to just get through it, do my best. I can express myself and, be in the groove doing that. So we've picked a few easier songs, and we're doing some new originals. But the drummer who you hadn't heard from, Ali Hassan, is amazing. Just the kind of drummer I always am looking to play with, but haven't had a chance to. And I think we've done one live recording, which I think is very different than any of my other recordings or me and Harrison's joint recordings. More kind of like learn the arrangement and then just feel the feel, some kind of a thing. And that's whether I would want to do that all the time, I don't know. But like, I know just the excitement of doing it that way in the short run is really cool. And when you're live, you're never going to have 4 guitar players. You're never going to have 3 backup singers. Not an amateur band. We're not going to have that. So, after all of some of the skullduggery and fakery and literally lowering our standard to what somebody else thinks is, headlining material in the past, in the recent past, I'm glad to get back to being true to what we think is good music live. And that's important to me. I don't know what to say. It's like recording first. You want to share it with people. I don't know how many people are going to see this because it's a Make Music Day on next Saturday. But it's not probably going to be a huge crowd. Probably just a handful of people and a few of our moms, so to speak. And we'll see how it goes. I know we're going to have fun, though. It's all expression, I feel like getting, quality musicians to play with me always makes me feel gratified. I like to be the weakest link in the room, just working to bring my level up to everybody else. And that's definitely what's going to happen with this group. So super excited about it. Okay, so we're almost to the studio, and I think that's going to conclude episode 71 of Brentocast. Oh, I almost forgot. Not that it matters to anybody but me and the good Lord, but I'm trying to return to actively attending church. I've been to church for the last 2 weeks in a row, and I'm trying to build a streak just like I have with the fasting. It's about consistency and discipline, trying to fix some of the little holes in my spiritual game, so to speak. And I've been enjoying it so far. It makes me feel a little more connected to my late father. And yeah, glad to be doing that. Also, wishing a belated happy birthday to my mom, who turned 81 yesterday. So that's awesome. All right, folks. Thanks for listening. Have a great week. Stay safe. Be good to people. Be good to yourself.